Welcome back everyone to 제니퍼의Actual speaking. My name is Jennifer Clyde. It's time for lesson 29 and as you may already know, today we'll be talking about online activities. So first of all, think about which online activities you are involved in. Are you active online? You know, the internet or social networking, it's actually become a form of communication. So we communicate with others online. And it's actually replacing the older methods of postal mail and even the telephone. So once again, what can you do online? Of course, we can do easy shopping online, communicate with others, express ourselves, even do lots of other things. So let's begin talking about online activities. Let's begin. Welcome back everyone. Are you ready to get started? Let's begin our warm-up segment by brainstorming with the 5 W's and how, as always. Let's begin with the first W, which stands for who, okay? So what type of internet user are you? What type of person are you, okay? What do you do online, for example? But we're focusing on whether you are an avid user of the net or not, okay? Let's move on to our what category. What are some online activities people in general enjoy, okay? So not just about you, but think about the online activities people enjoy in general, mostly, of course. And then, what are some of your favorite online activities? So what do you like to do online? Name a few online activities you enjoy. Let's take a look at another what. What do you use the internet to do most? Okay, so what do you use the internet to do most? Do you communicate with your friends? Do you chat online? Do you do a lot of research? Do you take care of paying for bills? Do you shop online? So think about what you usually do or what you do most on the internet. Now, what or which blogs or social networking sites are you active on? Okay, so think about the blogs. Okay, are you a blogger? Or social networking sites that you are active on, that you go to visit quite often. Let's check out some more what's. What do you like about SNS? You all may know already, but SNS stands for social networking sites. So what do you like about these sites? Another one, what do you think, if there are any, are the dark sides of the internet? Now, dark side of something. What does that mean? Dark. Is it bright? No, it's rather dark, so it means the negative side. Not the positive, but the negative sides of the internet. What do you think they are? If any, that is. And then what was life like before the internet? So think about the past. I don't know how old you are, so of course I know that a lot of our viewers are young and a lot older than us. So think about what life was like before the internet. For example, I may even talk about, let's say for example, when I was in college. Of course, we did have the internet, but not many people made use of the internet that much. So we had to do a lot of research, meaning going to the library and looking through books to do a lot of things. So was it difficult? What was it like before the internet? Moving on, when did you start using the web? Think about when you started. Also, where do you do most of your online research or web search? Take a look. We've got online and web. All different ways of saying internet, okay? Moving on, why is the web important to you? So think about some reasons as to why the internet is important to you, why you think you cannot live without it. Also, how much time a day do you spend online? So we're thinking about each day. So how much time a day do you spend online or on the internet? And how much time do you think you waste on the internet? So think about how much time you spend on the internet and how much time you waste on the internet doing unimportant things. Okay, everyone, that is about it for our brainstorming cues for today. Brainstorm more on your own with the 5 W's and how, and let's move on. It's time for actual talk.
So Rachel, what's the first thing you do when you get up in the morning?
You know, I'll have to admit it, I'm a little bit of an internet junkie. So I check my Facebook and all my social networking sites.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really,
Facebook is a bit of a time suck.
yeah, it's very time consuming. But what I like about it is that I can keep in contact and I can keep in touch with a lot of my friends who are overseas, my family who's overseas as well. So it's a good way to really just check up and see what they're up to and also to let them know what I'm up to.
Yeah.
Are you also an internet junkie? Do you waste time on the internet?
Well, unlike some people, I knew what life was like, before the internet. So I do notice sometimes that I spend too much time on the internet. It's interesting though. It's become such a part of my life that it's necessary. For instance, I'm involved in internet sites. I have several blogs and things that I post on.
Yeah.
And I make apps for the smartphones.
Right, yeah, I see. But I guess, it shows that there's just so much information at your fingertips. Like, you can really research about anything online. You can just go there if you have a question. And people usually say, oh, I'll look it up online. So it's nice because you do have the information there.
Well, I do a lot of research on the internet for books I'm writing or things like that. But, smartphones and people, out on the town having a conversation kind of kill some conversations. So let's say I'm thinking about a movie and I want to explain which movie it is or who starred in it.
Yeah.
And instead of having this long conversation where we try to figure it out, somebody just grabs their smartphone and looks it up on the internet and that ends the discussion right there.
Right. And kind of like the flow of your conversation as well.
But when I have a little time, I like to stumble. There's this site called StumbleUpon, which is user created and has just these cool sites. So you click Stumble and it goes to a random site that's interesting. And, it's a great way to find out about new things or see new science projects, things like that.
I'll have to stumble upon it.
Okay.
So, what was the dialogue like? Was it easy to understand? Today, Rachel and Peter talked about how they make use of the internet. So, first of all, what did Rachel say? Roughly, she said that she is an internet junkie, which means that she is addicted to the net. What does she do? As soon as she wakes up in the morning, she checks her Facebook and social networking sites. And also for Peter, he said that he goes online to do lots of research. So let's take a look at the conversation between the two, line by line. First of all, of course, Peter asks Rachel, what's the first thing you do when you get up in the morning? So he's asking her about the first thing she does, okay? As soon as you wake up, what do? She says, I'm a little bit of an internet junkie. We've taken a look at this word before, junkie. It's also spelled with a Junkie, which means that you are addicted to something, meaning you like it very much. So she says, I am a little bit of an internet junkie, meaning I am glued to the computer, especially doing things online. She is addicted to the internet. So she says, I check my Facebook and all my social networking sites. SNS, in other words. And he says, yeah, Facebook is a bit of a time suck. So he's talking about Facebook. Things like Facebook are a time suck. If you say something is a time suck, you are saying that it is something you waste time on. So when you can do something much more productive, okay, or much more important, if you're stuck doing something and wasting time, you can call that a time suck. Okay, moving on. Now, Rachel says it's very time consuming. You all know what that means. It means that it takes away a lot of your time. It takes a lot of time. So, meaning you waste time on Facebook. It's time consuming, but what I like about it is that I can keep in touch with a lot of my friends and family who are overseas. So she says I can keep in touch with so-and-so. So it's a good way to check up and see what they're up to. So check up on someone basically means to check to see how they are doing, what they are up to, and to see what they're up to, meaning to check how they are doing, okay? And also to let them know what I'm up to, okay? So vice versa. She's saying that I can check what others are up to, how they are doing, and let them know how I'm doing. And then she asks, are you also an internet junkie? Okay. Do you waste time on the internet or doing research on the internet? He says, well, I do notice sometimes that I spend too much time on the internet. So keep in mind, you do something on the internet, not in the internet. It's always on the internet. You can search things on the net. You could, let's say, for example, check videos on the net. So you do things or activities on the internet. And he says, it's interesting though, it's become such a part of my life that it's necessary. So if you say that something is a part of your life, it means that it is important to you, okay? It's almost needed. It's necessary. Moving on. For instance, I'm involved in internet sites, and then he's given an example of what he does online. I have several blogs and things that I post on, and I make apps for smartphones. So what does Peter does? He has several blogs, okay? He's active on a few blogs and things that I post on, okay? You can leave a post on a certain page. You could leave comments on a page. You can also leave a post on a page or post messages or comments on the internet. So those are some of the things he does online. Now she says, there's so much information at your fingertips. Take a look at this expression, okay? There's much information, not many. There's so much information at your fingertips. If you say that there is something at your fingertips, well, imagine. You reach out and your fingertips are right there. If something is at your fingertips, it's accessible. It's easy to reach. It's available, right? So she's saying there's so much information that you can easily get at your fingertips. You can research anything online and you can just go there meaning the internet, if you have a question. And people usually say, oh, if I don't know, I'll look it up online. So look something up where means that you are looking for information. You are searching for something online. You look it up online. Well, Peter says, well, I do a lot of research on the internet for books I'm writing or things like that. Let's move on. He says, let's say I'm thinking about a movie, okay, imagine, and I want to explain which movie it is or who starred in it, okay? Instead of having this long conversation, somebody grabs their smartphone, okay, and looks it up on the internet. So here, once again, we have look something up. It means to do some research. So they're talking about a movie and they're having a conversation, but instead of talking about who stars in it, what the movie is about, they just pop up their smartphone and look it up on the internet. And then Rachel says, right, and the flow of the conversation as well, meaning the discussion ends right there, okay? The discussion comes to an end, finish. No more discussion, no more conversation, because it's very easy to do search on the net, okay? Moving on, but when I have a little time, okay, he's saying not a lot of time, but just a little time, I like to stumble, okay? So there is a site called Stumble Upon. I looked it up, which is user-generated, or this term is also used. User-created or user-generated. We often say UCC or UGC, right? Okay. So now this site is user-created or user-generated and has these cool sites. So what you can do is you can click Stumble and it goes to a random site that's very interesting. It's a great way to find out about new things. So yeah, oftentimes you do some search on the web, but Peter is talking about a site called Stumble Upon that he visits on a regular basis to what? Find out about new things. Okay, let's move on. Rachel says, I'll have to stumble upon it. And of course, Peter says, okay. Now, you may have noticed, now, he was talking about a site called Stumble Upon, but you can also say to stumble upon something, meaning to look for something accidentally or briefly. Okay? All right, that was the conversation between Peter and Rachel today. Take a listen to it one more time with the subtitles.
So Rachel, what's the first thing you do when you get up in the morning?
You know, I'll have to admit it, I'm a little bit of an internet junkie. So I check my Facebook and all my social networking sites.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
really...
Facebook is a bit of a time suck.
Yeah, it's very time consuming. But what I like about it is that I can keep in contact and I can keep in touch with a lot of my friends who are overseas, my family who's overseas as well. So it's a good way to really just check up and see what they're up to and also to let them know what I'm up to.
Yeah.
Are you also an internet junkie? Do you waste time on the internet?
Well, unlike some people, I knew what life was like, before the internet. So I do notice sometimes that I spend too much time on the internet. It's interesting though. It's become such a part of my life that it's necessary. For instance, I'm involved in internet sites. I have several blogs and things that I post on.
Yeah.
And I make apps for the smartphones.
Right. Yeah, I see. But I guess, it shows that there's just so much information at your fingertips. Like you can really research about anything online. You can just go there if you have a question. And people usually say, oh, I'll look it up online. So it's nice because you do have that information there.
Well, I do a lot of research on the internet for books I'm writing or things like that. But, smartphones and people, out on the town having a conversation kind of kill some conversations. So let's say I'm thinking about a movie and I want to explain which movie it is or who starred in it.
Yeah.
And instead of having this long conversation where we try to figure it out, somebody just grabs their smartphone and looks it up on the internet and that ends the discussion right there.
Right. And kind of like the flow of your conversation as well.
But when I have a little time, I like to stumble. There's this site called Stumble Upon, which is user created and has just these cool sites. So you click Stumble and it goes to a random site that's interesting. And, it's a great way to find out about new things or see new science projects, things like that.
I'll have to stumble upon it.
Okay.
Well, now that we've checked out some expressions you can use when talking about online activities or doing things online through actual talk, let's check out some more expressions you can use. First of all, when talking about the type of internet user you are, okay? Now, our first brainstorming cue is what? Who? What type of internet user are you was the question. So you can say, I'm not exactly net savvy. Net is, of course, short for internet, right, as we all know. And we said net savvy. What is savvy? You've also heard of tech savvy, for example. But savvy basically means to have a lot of knowledge on something, to have the skills. So if we say net savvy, it means you know how to do lots of things online. And you know a lot about even the viruses. You're very skilled at what you can do online. So if you are not exactly, for example, you only surf the web and use email, only doing those simple things, you can say, I'm not exactly net savvy, okay? Moving on. Now, if you say, I'm definitely an internet junkie, I'm definitely an internet fanatic or enthusiast, it means that you are really, really into the net. You can do lots of things on the net and you are crazy about online activities. Now, you may have noticed in today's actual talk, we had junkie spelt with a Y, but as I did mention, it can also be spelt with an IE. it means that you are addicted to something. In this case, you are addicted to the internet. All right. I live and breathe the internet. I live and breathe the web. I live and breathe the net, or the information highway. Now, these are all different ways of talking about the internet, okay? So try using different words and different phrases and expressions when you are talking about the internet. So here we have, I live and breathe something. If you say you live and breathe something, it means that you spend a lot of time doing something. So if you say, I live and breathe the internet, it means you really, really like spending time on the internet. You find time to do something on the net, okay? So you are an enthusiast. You spend lots of time on the net. Moving on. Now, to be honest, I'm an internet zombie. What's this? Okay, zombie we all know. Zombie is the body of a dead person. Zombie, right? Now, what are zombies like? They're very mindless, okay? They don't seem to think. They don't seem to be wide awake. They look dead, right? So if you say that you are an internet zombie, you are talking about a person. Let's say, for example, you're trying to go to bed, but you can't fall asleep. You toss and turn, so you think, maybe I'll do something on the computer. You turn on the computer, you do lots of things on the net, unimportant things from going from one page to another, and you spend 5 hours on the net, but you look at the clock and it feels like you only spent 45 minutes. So, in other words, you are an internet zombie, okay? Let's move on. Talking about web searching, you can say there is a plethora, or there is a myriad of research material online. We talked about myriad, which means lots of, a countless number of, and so is plethora. It means a lot of, okay? So there's lots of research material online. Try using plethora and myriad. Moving on, you can get almost any information at the click of a button. Now, we did mention at the tip of your fingertips, but also at the click of a button also means very, very easily. Just by clicking, or of course, using a mouse, you can get lots of information. Let's check out another one. Everything you need is at your fingertips, okay? So, it's easily accessible, it's available, easy to find, easy to reach. Now, are you active or not on blog networks and social networking sites? You can say if you are a blogger, just as Peter, I'm a blogger. And if you have lots of followers, you can say with 300 or more followers, okay? Moving on, I'm an active user on Facebook. I'm an active user on Twitter. So these are just ways of saying that you are active on certain blogs or SNS sites. Active user on, keep that in mind, so and so. I've always avoided social networks. I know some people try to keep away from social networks because they like their privacy, right? So if you don't like social networks, you can say, I've always avoided social networks. Moving on. Now talking about blog and SNS activities, you can say, I Twitter hop. What does that mean? We also talked about bar hopping, right? Do you remember? Yeah, bar hopping means to go from one bar to another bar and then going to another bar. In this case, many people say Twitter hop or Twitter hopping. It means that you go from one person's Twitter to another person's Twitter. So you're basically hopping from one Twitter page to another Twitter page, okay? Why? To build up my Twitter following and to meet new friends. Another one, I retweet posts, okay? This is, of course, on Twitter. Spread the word about giveaways or events. So if you go on perhaps someone's Twitter page and you tell them about something, you are spreading the word about something, meaning you are letting others know about something. You are giving others information on something, okay? Let's talk about some more activities. You can say, I interact, which means you communicate with others. Post questions and comments. Post meaning to put up, right? Okay, you're posting questions and comments and you respond to others as well. Respond to others' posts and comments. Now, let's talk about the types of online activities. You can say, I try to limit the time I spend on the internet. Okay, limit the time, meaning I try not to spend too much time on the internet. Another one, I try to, now keep that pattern in mind, keep my brain active by feeding it with information I get online. So you're trying to keep your brain active, meaning you constantly try to think and think and think. You're keeping your brain active. You're exercising your brain, in other words. Another one, I enjoy engaging in lots of online activities. Now, to engage in something means to take part in something, to do. So, I engage in doing lots of online activities. I enjoy engaging in lots of online activities. I enjoy discovering music online. So this pattern, once again, I enjoy doing something. Keep in mind, there's the ing right here. I enjoy discovering music online. I always get stuck in a YouTube loop. Okay, this is another term that you may make use of in the future when talking about online activities. You get stuck, okay? You get stuck doing what? In a YouTube loop, which means, for example, you go to YouTube, you check out a video, and it takes you to another video, and you're stuck there checking out interesting videos for hours and hours and hours. It's hard for you to get out of it, so you're stuck in a YouTube loop, okay? So for you to understand a bit easily about YouTube loop, basically imagine that you were only thinking of checking out a 30-second video on YouTube, okay? But then again, 2 hours later, you discover that you spent 2 hours going from one page to another, checking out this interesting YouTube video, and then another. So you realize later, you regain consciousness and say, oh, wow, I spent this much time on YouTube. Well, in that case, you can say, I got stuck in a YouTube loop. Okay, everyone, keep those expressions in mind, and that is a wrap for this segment. Now it is time for you all to relax and enjoy this segment. It's time for today's idiom. I think especially for today's idiom, well, you can really relax. So stretch, everyone, and enjoy. Now today I have prepared something slightly different. It's not exactly, or they are not exactly idioms, but they are widely used internet slang words. They're used quite often in text messaging, such as SMS text messaging, even on social networking sites, and elsewhere as well when you're chatting online. So let's check it out. Here are some internet slang or abbreviations you might bump into or see quite often when you are chatting or exchanging text messages with an English speaker. You might see BRB. It stands for be right back, meaning I'll be right back. I'll be away for a second, I'll be right back. What about FYI? It means for your information. So when you're, having a conversation or chatting with someone and you want to give them your 2 cents, okay? You want to give somebody information about what you know, you can say, FYI, FYI, for your information, blah, blah, blah. Also, quickly, gotta go, I have to go, meaning G to G, G to G. Also, you might see this a lot as well, IMO, also IMHO, but IMO stands for in my opinion. So when you want to give your opinion, you can say IMO and then start writing. Okay, let's check out a few more. JK, that's quite easy, just kidding, I'm joking, JK. Also, LOL, LOL, you all know that, right? Laughing out loud. When you're laughing, you think something is really funny, you can write LOL, LOL. Laughing out loud. Also, when you want to say goodbye, talk to you later, you can say TTYL. TTYL, which stands for talk to you later. And one last one, AFK. It means away from the keyboard, and it stands for away from keyboard, meaning you're taking a break, you'll be right back, you're away from your computer, you can say AFK, okay? So keep these widely used internet slang or abbreviations for future use. Now, we've got some more. As you see, we've got something that looks like a symbol. Well, the 3 here, they say it looks like the heart of a person and it resembles or it means or symbolizes heart, love. Thus, so if you do that symbol, it means love. What about at? Okay, instead of writing AT, often when you're text messaging or on social media sites, you will see that symbol and it means at. Okay, it's replaced. And also the number 2 is often used to replace to or even TOO, two. So let's check out some sentences. For example, when you want to say I love you, instead of writing LOVE, you can simply write that. I love you. Okay, now you know what that stands for, love. Also, when you want to say I am at the store with somebody, you can say I'm, the at symbol, the store with slash or backslash, DH. What do you think that stands for? DH. The D here stands for dear, H stands for husband. So, my dear husband. I'm at the store with my dear husband. Dear wife would be DW, right? All right, one more. I'm going to school at 8. So you can use to and these symbols in one sentence as well. I'm going, number 2, meaning TO, school at 8 o'clock. I'm going to school at 8. So these are some internet slang and abbreviations you'll bump into, most likely on the net or through SMS text messages. Try to make use of them in the future, or I guess, well, do some research on more of these internet slang words. They're quite fun to use. All right, that is a wrap for today's idiom.
Talk about some activities you enjoy on the internet. Which sites do you frequent? How much time do you spend online? Discuss the pros and cons of the online culture we are living in.
You might think I'm telling a lie, but I'm not. I'm one of the person who really don't use the internet. I only use the internet when I need. For example, when I have to do homework, like other people, I use portal sites like Naver or Google to search for the information. And I usually visit my university's homepage, which I can get many information like job recruiting or when I have to go to master's degree, that kind of stuff. And what else? I also use Facebook, which is amazing, very popular these days. I think that is all that I use the internet.
All right, did you check out today's actual interview? Job well done. 조성환님 감사드립니다. Thank you so much for your time and effort. So let's check out what he said. Of course, he did mention that he doesn't spend that much time on the internet, right? Some great points he mentioned. He said, you might think I'm telling a lie, but I'm not. Well, this is exactly how he began his interview answer. I think he was trying to be very comfortable and playful. He thought and he said, so he did throw in those ahs once in a while as well. Said, job well done. You probably made yourself feel a lot more comfortable, and I'm sure you've made the interviewer feel at ease as well. So he began, you might think I'm telling a lie, but I'm not. And then he said, for example, when I have to do homework like other people, I use portal sites like Naver or Google. He gave some examples of the sites that he makes use of. Now, first of all, he said what? You might think I'm telling a lie, but I'm not. I don't use the internet that much, but for example, when I have to do homework, I use these sites. Okay, job well done. Let's move on to some quick oopsies. He said, I use Naver or Google to search for the information, which sounds awkward, right? Search for. And I usually visit my university's homepage, which I can get many information. I did point this out earlier today as well. So remember this, and let's check out how you can correct it. So you can use Naver or Google or certain sites to search information and visit your university website. Of course, homepage and website are, I guess, interchangeable. People use them all the time. But a website is a whole site, whereas the homepage is probably the first page of a website, okay? Where I can get much information, never many information, always much information. Okay, one more. I think that is all that I use the internet. Something is missing, right? What's missing? Here we go. I think that is all I use the internet for. Or you can say, I think that is all I use the internet to do. It might work as well. Okay, so keep these corrections, small mistakes in mind, and try not to make them on your own later in the future. All right, that is a wrap for today's actual interview. Now, today we learned many expressions that have to do with online activities or the internet. And I just wonder what type of internet user you are. Of course, you may not really go on the net that often unless you really have to maybe send an email to someone or do some web searching. But of course, there are plenty of people that are glued to the internet, or rather their computer, because they are internet junkies. That's right. Oftentimes, when you have a difficult time sleeping, you are tired. You need sleep, but then again, your mind is elsewhere. You're mindlessly on the internet, searching things, doing things that are most likely unimportant, perhaps wasting time for hours and hours. And you notice it's already 5 o'clock in the morning. You would call yourself an internet zombie, that's right. So keep these terms in mind and make use of them in the future when talking about today's topic with somebody, or perhaps when you are given a question concerning the internet in an English interview. All right, everyone, that is all for today's lesson. Next time, I'll be joining you back with another interesting topic. We'll focus more on something that really is helpful, that really benefits us. We'll be talking about reading. So in the meantime, think about the books you've read so far, whether you like to read or not. And if you have not been reading, think about the reasons as to why you chose not to read. In the meantime, please do come and visit us at our homepage at www.ebse.co.kr and search 제니퍼의Actual speaking and leave your comments, posts, questions, anything. You're more than welcome to come by. All right, everyone, enjoy. That's all for today. I'll catch you again soon. Bye for now.